Akabo Waakatu. This is Daku, and today in survival studies, we want to remind you that just because someone loves you, or says they love you, or says they like you, does not mean they view you as their equal. Just because someone says they love you, like the way you walk, they like your swag, they like the way you dance, they like your music, does not mean necessarily that they see you as their equal. Now today, we want to go into the great illuminating book, Yurugu, by Dr. Marimba Ani. And Yurugu is an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior. All right? Now, I want to go into this book because many of you believe that certain white people throughout history are your ancestors, your forefathers and mothers, people that loved you and respected you. They may have had children out of, in mixed race relationships. They may have had children with white men, generally with black women. And so you say, well, they had children with black people, so they must have loved black people. They must have liked black people in order for that to occur. Now, this ain't for the men, this is for the women, because a lot of women don't realize this. Men like to have sex. So do women, but men like to have sex. So a man could go on the street and get a prostitute, even if he has a queen at home. Does he think that prostitute is worthy of sitting on his throne? 99.9% of the time, no, he does not think that. But what can the prostitute offer this man? The prostitute could offer this man sex. Okay, so you can't be fooled into thinking, well, shoot, this white guy had a baby by this black woman. He must really love and respect and honor black people, when the basics of it is sex. Okay? So don't be fooled into, this person got mixed children or whatever. That must mean they really, really, really love you and respect you and see you as their equal. But I don't want to take up too much time on that. Again, the book Yurugu by Dr. Marimba Ani. Go pick it up. I promise you, if you ever get this book, you'll spend years studying this illuminating work. All right? Now, I'm going in this book. I want to quote some of your favorite and not so favorite crackers. They're all white supremacists. But let's start with P.W. Botha of South Africa. What did he say about y'all? He said, priority number 1, we should not, by all means, allow any more increases of black population, lest we be choked very soon. He advocates the use of chemical weapons to combat any further population increases and fertility destroyers. Now, I know some of y'all going to say, well, that's South Africa. It ain't like that in America. It's not like that in England or wherever you live. You think that's them over there. That's not us. We don't have to deal with the same problems. But we want to come back over to America and quote some of your favorite folks, some of the people you know and love, all about their history, the people you call forefathers and mothers. Let's start with one of your very, very, very favorite, Thomas Jefferson. Let's see what Thomas Jefferson has to say about your black behind, since you don't seem to realize that this man is a white supremacist or was a white supremacist. He said, blacks, whether originally a distinct race or made distinct by time and circumstances, are inferior to whites in the endowment of body and mind. Okay? I didn't say he was, I'm not saying by myself that he's a white supremacist. He's saying in his language that he's a white supremacist. Again, he says blacks, whether originally a distinct race or made distinct by time and circumstances, are inferior, his words, inferior to the whites in the endowment of body and mind. Well, I know that makes you uncomfortable because you got to rethink a whole lot of things. But I want to make you uncomfortable because I realize that, as the Akawu tells us, comfort is the enemy of revolution. I realize you ain't going to do nothing as long. The more comfortable you are, the less likely you are to do anything. Okay? Now, this next quote I want to take and I want to read for all of you out there who say, if you believe in God, you're a fool. They use God to enslave and destroy us and keep us oppressed, which is true. Instead of God, you say we should believe in things like evolution because it's more of a reality. Well, you are, or may consider yourself more revolutionary because you don't believe in God, that you believe in evolution. But let me read to you what the so-called father of evolution said about your black behind. The so-called father of the concept of evolution, Charles Darwin. He was a white supremacist too. Here we go. At some future period, not very distant as measured by centuries, all civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace the savage races throughout the world. At the same time, the anthropomorphosis ape will no doubt be exterminated. The break will then be rendered wider, for it will intervene between man and some more civilized state than the Caucasian, and some ape as low as a baboon, instead of at present between the Negro or Australian and the gorilla. The father of the concept of evolution, according to some, Charles Darwin, another white supremacist. Let me go back and read something that he said, point out something that he said. The civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace the savage races throughout the world. Check that out. That's Charles Darwin, y'all. Okay, who's next? I want to pick on the ones that you love so much. We gave y'all a quote from Abraham Lincoln a few weeks ago. And for those of you that didn't see it, Abraham Lincoln is one of your favorite crackers too. Abraham Lincoln was a white supremacist. He said, I, as much as any other man, am in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race. Again, superior. What did your man Thomas Jefferson say? That blacks are inferior to whites. They're using the terms. We didn't make these terms up. We didn't put words in their mouth. Thomas Jefferson said that your black behind was inferior. Abraham Lincoln said that he's in favor of having the superior position between the races assigned to the white race. Okay? You also have Edgar Allan Poe. Many of you don't know who this guy is. But he was a poet, well known, and they just made a movie about his behind about 1 or 2 years ago. You can find that quote on page 299. He's not all that important, but he is a cracker that some of y'all respect, especially your writers and poets. All right, let's go on down to Andrew Johnson. He said, it is vain to deny that the blacks are an inferior race, very far inferior to the European variety. I don't need to go any further than that. It goes on, but his first sentence, it is vain to deny that blacks are an inferior race, very far inferior to the European variety. Okay, let's see. Who else? Benjamin Franklin. All of the people that you read about in your history books that you love so much that you can quote and you pass the history test. You got an A in class. The higher your grade, the more brainwashed you are. If you didn't pay attention in these classes, good for you. I won't tell my child that because his class is going to be my class. So you're going to pay attention to what I got to teach you. Okay? Benjamin Franklin said, "Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so far an opportunity by excluding blacks and tawnies, which means browns, of increasing the lovely white and red." That was Benjamin Franklin. Read it for yourself. Page 299 of the great and illuminating book, Urugu. You can also Google it. All right. Who's next? What about all y'all socialists out there that keep telling me about some damn Karl Marx? You shouldn't even use that man's name. Don't even say it. Yeah, they consider him the father of socialism. But we had socialistic societies long before this man was ever a thought in his parents' mind. It is now, this is what Karl Marx said, it is now entirely clear, talking about this mixed race dude, that as his cranial structure and hair type prove, the fellow is also nigger-like. Karl Marx, the father, what y'all call the father of socialism. Let's see. Okay, we don't want to leave the ladies out. Susan B. Anthony. So all you educated Negroes, please stop saying this woman's name to me. She was an abolitionist. It wasn't just black people that were abolitionists. There were white people too. Let's see what Susan B. Anthony had to say. She said the old anti-slavery school says that a woman must stay back, that they must wait until male Negroes are voters. But we say, if you will not give the whole loaf of justice to an entire people, give it to the most intelligent first. The most intelligent first. The most intelligent first. If intelligence, justice, and morality are to be placed in the government, then let the question of white women be brought up first, and that of the Negro last. Your favorite white abolitionist of slavery, Susan B. Anthony, was a white supremacist. Again, she said, if intelligence, justice, morality are to be placed in the government, then let the question of white women be brought up first, and that of the Negro last. What did we say at the very beginning of this survival studies lesson? We said that just because somebody says they love you or like you does not mean that they see you as their equal. Okay? So stop telling me, I know some nice white people. I know some nice crackers that I used to work under down at the Justice Department, down at the finance office. This white guy treated me better than any black person has ever treated me before. We're not saying that the devil can't be kind and polite. Remember, the Akawu tells us that the devil is kind and polite because he knows that the people are ruled by their emotions. Once he has you by your emotion, he got you. This has been Daku Akabo wa Akatu.